Once upon a time, in a peaceful little village nestled between green hills and sparkling streams, there lived a young tailor named Tom. He was poor but cheerful, and spent his days sewing clothes for the villagers in his small shop by the market square. Tom had nimble fingers and a clever mind, but he wasn't known for bravery or strength. In fact, most people saw him as a quiet dreamer who spent too much time talking to his cat and not enough time doing real work. But destiny, as it often does, had other plans for him. One fine morning, as the golden sunlight poured into his workshop, Tom sat stitching a colourful vest. His window was open, and a few flies buzzed around his freshly made jam. "Oh, these flies," he muttered. "They think my jam is theirs." He picked up a piece of cloth, and with one swift motion he swatted at them smack. When he looked down, he saw 7 flies lying still. He smiled proudly and said aloud, "7 in one blow." Now, Tom meant 7 flies, but the words sounded far grander. He quickly made a belt, stitched the words 7 in one blow across it, and fastened it around his waist. Then he stood before his mirror and said to himself, "If I can kill 7 in one blow, I can surely handle anything the world throws at me." Inspired by his own courage, Tom decided it was time to leave the village and seek adventure. He packed a small bundle of bread and cheese, waved goodbye to his cat, and set off toward the distant hills. Along the way, he met an old woman who asked, "Young man, where are you headed with such confidence?" Tom puffed out his chest and replied, "I'm going to seek my fortune. You see, I have slain 7 in one blow." The old woman gasped in awe. 7. "In one blow, you must be a mighty warrior," she said. Word spread quickly from village to village. A brave tailor who killed 7 men with one strike was on his way to the king's city. By the time Tom reached the capital, the story had grown so much that everyone whispered, "Here comes the man who defeated 7 giants in one blow." When Tom arrived at the royal palace, the guards stopped him, curious about the inscription on his belt. They led him to the king, a proud but fearful ruler whose kingdom was being terrorized by 2 fierce giants living in the nearby mountains. The king studied Tom carefully. He was small and thin, but the words on his belt were bold. 7 in one blow, asked the king suspiciously. "Is this true?" Tom bowed. "Indeed, your majesty," he replied with confidence, though he didn't explain what he had slain. The king, thinking Tom was a powerful hero, decided to test his courage. "If you can rid my land of the 2 giants," said the king, "I shall reward you with half my kingdom and my daughter's hand in marriage." Tom accepted the challenge with a smile, though inside he trembled a little. 2 giants, he whispered to himself as he left the palace. Well, 7 flies are 7 flies, but perhaps courage can do the rest. He set off toward the dark mountains, armed only with his wits, a bit of cheese, and his trusty sewing needle tucked behind his ear. After walking all day, he found the giants sleeping under a tree, their snores so loud that birds flew away in fright. Tom climbed the tree quietly and sat on a branch just above them. He took a small pebble and dropped it onto one giant's nose. The giant woke up, looked at his brother, and roared, "Why did you hit me?" The other giant growled, "I didn't touch you." They argued fiercely until one gave the other a hard punch. That started a terrible fight, with trees shaking and rocks flying. Tom watched in amazement as the two giants fought until they knocked each other out cold. Smiling proudly, he climbed down and said, "Well, that was easier than sewing a torn sleeve." He returned to the palace and told the king the giants were no more. The king was astonished, but still doubtful. "This tailor might be clever," he thought, "but I must see if he's truly brave." So the next day, he sent Tom on another mission to capture a dangerous unicorn that had been destroying the royal orchard. Tom took a piece of rope and went into the forest. When the unicorn saw him, it charged, its horn gleaming like silver. Tom darted behind a tree, and the unicorn's horn got stuck in the trunk. With quick hands, Tom tied the rope around its neck. "There now," he said, patting the animal gently. "You should be more careful where you point that thing." When he brought the unicorn back, the king was speechless. Yet he gave one final test. "If you can capture the wild boar that roams the forest, I'll keep my promise," he said. Tom set out again, this time with a little more confidence. He took some bread, climbed into a small shed, and waited. When the boar came charging in, Tom slipped out the back and slammed the door shut. The boar was trapped. The king had no choice but to admit the tailor's bravery. "You truly are a man of great courage," he said, trying to hide his amazement. He gave Tom half his kingdom and married him to the princess. The people celebrated for days, and Tom became known as the Brave Little Tailor. Though he ruled wisely and kindly, Tom never lost his simple ways. He still carried his sewing needle in his pocket and never forgot the lesson he had learned. That true courage is not about size or strength, it's about cleverness, confidence, and heart. Years later, when people asked him the secret of his bravery, Tom would smile and say, "It all began with 7 flies and a bit of jam." Courage often starts small, my friends, but if you believe in yourself, it can grow larger than mountains. And so, the humble tailor who once stitched clothes in a tiny shop became a king loved by all. His story spread across lands and generations, teaching children everywhere that no dream is too big, no person too small, and no act of courage too little to change one's fate. Moral: true bravery lies not in strength or power, but in intelligence, confidence, and belief in oneself. Even the smallest person can achieve great things with courage and wisdom.